Hello friends, I am Shahzad and I am going to make a series of videos on polity for civil services, and this is bit about me. The objective of this course is to understand the syllabus of the general studies, because without understanding the syllabus we cannot hit the target which we are supposed to do. Then to dig in more we will cover the previous year questions, and then sequentially we will cover the subjects matter in a sequence manner. So the methodology of my lecture series will be video lecture series of video lectures where I will cover the static portions as well as the contemporary affairs related to that static portion, and the solution to previous year questions related with that aspects. So first things first, uh, understanding the syllabus is very crucial when it comes to civil services. When people assumed that it has no syllabus and anything can be asked in exam, but believe me, when I will cover now the syllabus and the questions related with that, you will find that the most of the questions are from the syllabus only. So basically, the general studies paper 2, which is our focus, I have divided into the three portions: the polity, which generally comes of the 100 marks, which varies from 90 to 110, and the second portion is the governance, which also of the 100 marks, and the third is the international relations of the 50 marks. So in this series of lecture I am planning to cover this polity portion. I will see you guys response. If this video is getting beneficial to the people, then I may think to plan another series of videos on governance. So this first part 1 is polity, and similarly this part 2 is governance, and part 3 is international relations. So for our purpose, this part 1 polity, it includes basically the Indian constitutions. What is our constitutions, how it has developed, the historical underpinnings, how the evolution of the Indian constitutions from 1935 Act to the final culmination on 26th November of 1949. So then it includes the fundamental rights, directive principle of a state policy, various amendments of the constitution, the significant provisions, and the basic structure doctrine which was envisaged by the Honorable Supreme Court on 24th April of 1973. So you don't have to bog down by all these things. I am just reading out or giving you some reference for these things, so that you need to understand that what all those things are covered in the syllabus. Anyways, I am going to cover each and everything of these 10 topics in my series of videos lecture. The second topics is about the union governments and the state governments, the issues related with the tussle, the happening which we generally see between the central and state government. They have various power tussle. Like in Delhi, we have seen how the power tussle happens between the lieutenant governor, who represents the center, and the chief minister of Delhi. Similarly, how we have devolved power to the local level, the panchayati raj system of the government, how it has been effective, what are the challenges and opportunities lies therein. The third topics, again about the separation of power. So the second, the topic number 2 is about the vertical distribution of power, like union government, states government, and the local level government. The topic number 3 is about the horizontal distribution of power, which involves like executive, legislative, and judiciary, how the separation of power in our constitution, what are the different dispute redressal mechanism available in our country, what are the various institutions, which I will cover one by one in my lectures. Then the fourth topic is about India. So you must have heard ki, the Indian constitution is prepared within a period of 2 years and 11 months, something. Then This constitutions has taken inspirations from the various constitution of the world, like the American constitution, the French constitution, and the Russian constitutions. So the questions has been asked in the exam regarding the Indian constitutional schemes, and how it compared with the different other constitutions. The fifth topic is about parliament. What are the functioning of the parliament, how they structure the Rajya Sabha and the Lok Sabha. Similarly, the state legislatures, what are the Vidhan Sabha, how it is functioning, what are the subjects which are taken by the state legislatures, what are its limit, and the functioning, how it conducts its business, and the powers and the privileges of the member of parliament and the member of legislative assemblies. All these things are very crucial from the perspective of exam. Then next comes the executive, the prime minister, the role of president, and in a state parallelly the chief minister and the governor. What are the different responsibility of them? How they perform their functions? There are different ministries and the department, how they are interlinked and perform the task of executive. And the most crucial, the judiciary, the different levels of judiciary, high courts, supreme courts. What are their objectives? How they perform the task? So these are the questions which are asked from this type of topics. Then the seventh number topic is about pressure groups, which what are the different pressure groups, like the farmers organizations, cooperative organizations, and the different trade unions, how they play a role in our polity, how they influence the governance structure of the country, and what are their place in our overall ecosystem of the state. Then comes the salient feature of the Representations of People Act. It is very crucial because we as a bureaucrats are enshrined to perform elections duties. The Election Commission of India has a very crucial role in conducting a free and fair elections, and for that purpose various questions has been asked with respect to Representation of People Acts, how the nomination are done, what are the different mechanism by which by which a member can be disqualified, and what are the issues like the EVM issues, and all those things are generally asked in that portions. Now in our constitutions there are various constitutional posts like the CAG, Public Account Committee, Estimates Committee. There are different constitutional bodies, and then there are some statutory bodies like NHRC, National Commission of Women, these kinds of bodies, which we will cover in this polity. So this is the whole the polity portion of the syllabus, which generally ranges from 100 to 120 marks in the exam. Now coming to the another portion, governance. It is basically governance is about how the government is doing the delivery of services, how transparent it is, how it is effective, how it is targeting the vulnerable sections of the population. So basically it includes what are the developmental schemes the government has, what are the different non-governmental agencies like the NGOs and the SSG self-help groups like the Kudumbusri, which is working for the empowerment of the women, and the other groups and associations which are very important stakeholders in the development process, and how the development industry as a whole is existing in the ecosystem. Then we are focusing on the vulnerable sections, very important for we as a bureaucrats, where we focused for the empowerment of the women, destitutes, old age persons, child, and these kinds of questions are covered under the vulnerable sections, where we have to study the welfare schemes for them, how the laws and different institutions are protecting the women, like the POSCO Acts, Prevention of Child Sexual Offences Act, and various institutions like National Commission of Women, National Commission of National Human Rights Commission, how these commissions are protecting these vulnerable sections of the society. Then we will study the education, health as a broad topic. What are the different mechanism, policy, the national health policy, Ayushman Bharat, then education, the different aspects of the educations are covered under the topic 4. And then obviously we have to study on the poverty, what are the different poverty estimates, what the government is doing to target the poverty and hungers. And so these topics are basically about the development industry, what we are doing to develop our country, and what are the different governance structure in our country. Then comes the international relations, where we are mostly focused on India. The India is at the center, and it is mostly toward the bilateral relations and the regional relations. It may cover some aspects of those relations and those events which has some impact of India, like the trade war, which can have some impact on India. and different policies and politics which is happening at the global level, and how it affects the India and Indian diaspora. So these are the topics which are generally covered in the international relations, and it also covers the international institutions like the United Nations, World Bank, International Labour Organization, how these institutions are shaping the role of global politics. So these things are generally covered in international relations. So for this series, I have initially planned to cover the polity portion, and then gradually I will move toward governance and international relations if I see a good response, or if I see that these videos are beneficial to the people, or it is of some value. So moving on to the our next very important aspects, to understand the previous year questions, because without understanding the previous year questions just by the syllabus we cannot dig in more. So we need to understand what the UPSC is meaning by each and every topic under the syllabus, what how they are framing the questions. Then we, if we will study, then we can study in a very targeted manner, because means how much we study, it is very important that we study from the perspective of exam, because there's so much to study, but it is very necessary to know what to hit, not to read everything under the sun. So for first topic like historical underpinning and evolution, I will cover. And one questions has been asked like the how the Government of India Act has played a role in the federal constitution, in laying down the federal constitutions. Like this is the one topic. Then secondly, there are topics on preamble, fundamental rights, and the directive principle of state policy. The questions is from the preamble, like the we, the people of India, having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic. So there are four words: sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic. So these are the four adjective attached to the republic, and UPSC is asking us to explain these adjectives and how they are of relevance in the present circumstance. So you can see that we have to study the preamble, we have to understand the preamble, what it means in each and every word of the preamble. Similarly, the fundamental rights is very important topic related with the freedom of speech and expression under the Article 19 of the fundamental rights, which we will cover. Then the section 66A of the IT Act, this again question is related with freedom of speech and expression, which is under the Article 19, which we will cover. So you can see how from the topics from the syllabus UPSC is framing the questions. It is not from like that they're asking anything under the sun. Again, right to clean environment, how it is interlinked to the right to life and liberty. This is very important aspects. Some may seem that this is related with current affairs because of the Supreme Court judgment, but having a very thorough knowledge of Article 21, what it all covers, how the broad the concept is, it will obviously help you to answer such types of questions, even if you have not followed in the current affairs. Somehow you, if you have mixed, but if your static portion or your primary base of knowledge is very fundamental, knowledge is strong, you can obviously tackle these kind of questions in a very beautiful manner. Again, the fundamental right of the right to privacy judgment in K. Puttuswamy case by the Supreme Court. These questions was asked. So we can see how the questions was from the fundamental rights. So what we will do when we will study the fundamental rights, I will first take the course on the fundamental rights, the static portion. Then I will cover the current contemporary questions on of the fundamental rights, whichever is in the news, to complete the topics in a very holistic manner. Again, the question of the directive principle of state policy was asked. Like in directive principle of state policy, it has mentioned that the states should endeavor to make a uniform civil code, but they are asking what are the possible factor that is inhibiting India. So these are the questions, these kind of questions, applied questions from the directive principle of state policy. Now the second topics is about the functioning of union and state. I explained you that first they have in second topic they have about the vertical distribution of power between the union, state, and the local level. So these are the questions from that that how the smaller number of states, how the smaller number of districts and talukas, the many states are making. Like Telangana has recently increased its number of districts to a very large number. So is it making sense for making a small states? So you have to write in favor or against of making more and more number of states. What could be its advantage and disadvantage? Then the second question is about the conflict, the issues in the separation of power between the union and state, like the issues between the lieutenant governor and the chief minister of Delhi. And again, this issue was again repeated in 2018 exam, that how the Supreme Court judgment can settle the lieutenant governor and government and issue and elected government of Delhi. So you can see the how the questions repeat also in some different fashion. So if you have the fundamental knowledge clear, or if you have done the previous year questions, then you will be easily able to handle that such kind of questions. Then the questions of Article 370, the temporary provision, what are the future prospects, what we can do. These questions was asked previously, I think in 2015. But now again, some questions may be asked about Article 370, that how the removal of Article 370 is helping in the integration of Jammu and Kashmir. But for that purpose, you should have them some static knowledge of Article 370. What was it? What is the its historical underpinning? What it meant? How it has created issues or benefit for the Jammu and Kashmir population. All aspects you need to understand to answer such kinds of questions. And again, it's not that the Article 370, through Article 370 only the Jammu and Kashmir was the state which has been the special status. There has been a state like Nagaland and other northeastern states which has the special provisions, and what are the issues related with that. So we can see how the questions are asked from different aspects of the union and state relations, and it all these things will be covered when we will cover each and every topics. So you have to get a feel what kind of questions UPSC is generally asking. Then about the local level government, it is they are asking about the panchayat system in India, how the panchayat system of India is of importance. Is it of some benefit? How it can be used for the financial development? But sometimes we see that they are not well people, the panchayat peoples, those who are elected are not well educated. So how they are not becoming the effective instrument of governance. So what we can do about it? So we should dig the topic in a slightly better manner. And again, this Khap Panchayat, this kind of extra constitutional body are giving challenges to the elected government or the constitutional bodies. So what we can do about it? Then about the financial power of the Panchayati Raj system, how the 13th Finance Commission has played a role in improving or strengthening the local government finance. So we have to understand the functions of the panchayat, the functionaries of the panchayat, who are the different functionaries, and so these things are very crucial to understand the local level local self government and how it can be effective instrument for the governance. So you can see the local self government in India has not proved to be effective instrument of governance. Critically examine the same question, assess the importance of panchayat system in India as a part. So assess, here we have to assess how it is important, and here they have made that it is not proved to be effective. So these questions are somewhat relative, somewhat interrelated or linked. So if we have prepared the previous year questions, we will be able to answer the questions in a very beautiful manner. And these questions is about the reservation of seats for the women in the local self government. Then the next topic is about the separation of power between the various organs. So it is about the horizontal distribution of power between the executive, judiciary, and various organs. What are the dispute redressal mechanism, and also the separation of power between the vertical distribution of power. What are the union and state, like the issues of check and balance, the balance between the executive, legislative, and judiciary? What are the cooperative federalism? What do you mean by cooperative federalism? How it is how the union state are cooperating to have a harmonious harmonious in governance, so that there is no conflict. Again, the such kinds of questions are from this the or the issues of ordinance, by which by which executive generally curtail the power of supreme power of legislature. Like through ordinance, there is no need to pass through the legislature immediately, and through ordinance, executive surpasses the power of legislature. Such kinds of questions are generally asked. Then, for comparison of Indian constitutional schemes, they have one time they have asked India and the USA. They have asked to compare the political systems between the two country, which we will cover how. And the second questions they have asked the France, because in France there is a different notion of secularism, which we call negative secularism, which we will cover. And the Indian constitution is a form of a positive secularism. So how, what the France can learn from it. So these kinds of topics which we will cover henceforward. Then there is a parliament and state legislatures. These are the constitutional the pillars on which our the constitution is. And they have asked one time that what are the exact question, the power and privileges, exact from the syllabus, the power and privileges of the member of parliament in the article 105. What are the different the reason, what are the different power and privileges, why there is reason for absence of legal, why the parliamentary privileges is not codified, that what all the privileges are included. It is not codified, it is just that the parliament has some privileges, but it is not codified. And how this codification problem can be addressed. Then again there is a question that the because of anti-defection law, which we will cover. Because of this anti-defection law, the member of parliament and member of parliament has not much view, much independence to vote on matter of their choice. So they have to follow or fall in line with the party executive. So they are curtailing the healthy constructive debates on policy issues. So these are the topics which are important. Then this again the same question कि the healthy constructive debates नहीं हो रहा है. So the national lawmaker is on decline. Why it is decline? Because the healthy constructive debates is not happening. Why it is not happening? Because anti-defection law. So you can see how these two questions are interlinked. Then one time they have asked on the joint session of the two houses of the parliament, how the joint session functions, how why it cannot normally happen, when it can happen or when it cannot. These types of questions. These are very static questions, fundamental questions which we will study. Then there is a third topic. There is another topic of the executive, the different ministries. By executive, you mean the prime minister, the president, the chief minister at the state, the governor. All these kind of questions are generally asked. So the role, the power. If you will study president, you will study the power of the president, and they have asked question the power of the president for commuting death, and it is leading to delay, delay and denial of justice. So what we can do about it? So each and every topic which are in this syllabus needs to be thoroughly understood, so that means if the fundamental knowledge is clear, then you can answer such type of questions. Again, it is about the cabinet, the role of the prime minister, and how the government efficiency is related to the size of the cabinet. Then this another topic is about the judiciary, the how the judiciary has invented the basic structure of the constitution. Basic structure is very important. Four questions have been asked from these questions, and all are mostly same. That how the inventing basic structure helps in thriving democracy, how it has helped in checking arbitrary power. Same again question. Again, that it has limited power of the parliament to amend. So you have to cover this basic structure concepts, Article 368 of the Constitution, in a very holistic manner. It is about the judiciary, the structure of judiciary, how the appointment in judiciary, why this National Judicial Appointment Commission Act was declared null and void by the Supreme Court, how the appointment to the Supreme Court and higher judiciary are happen, what are the challenges therein. We all these things are studied. Then how the tribunals function, how the tribunals, what are the position of tribunal from the view of the judiciary perspective. Then there is a question on central administrative tribunal. These are all questions of the judiciary, which are just fundamental questions which we need to understood when we will study the judiciary portion. Then it comes the pressure groups and formal and informal. Again, the same question: how the pressure group is influencing the politics, how they are informal phase, because they're informal. They play a politics, but they are not formally organized like the farmers organizations, the trade union. So they are the informal phase of politics. How they play a role, how they pressurize the government, the governance structure, how they influence the political process. Here they have asked how do pressure group influence Indian political process, a general question. And in this question they have asked the farmer organization how they influence the policy maker. So both questions are somewhat interlinked. If you have prepared, you can write this type of questions also. So so that's why the previous year questions is very important to understand. So again, the government sector, the role of non-state actor has been only marginal. So what are the role of non-state actor, this kind of things which we need to study. Then this is about the representation of people acts, the functioning of the election, on what basis it can be disqualified from becoming a member. What are the what are the steps the election commission is taking, what are about the electoral reform, for electoral reform, how the EVM issues are there, what are the challenges before the election commission, why we cannot do the simultaneous election for the Lok Sabha and state assembly. These kind of questions are being asked. Then there have been the appointment to various constitutional posts like the CAG, what are its power, how they do the audit. And then again same question: exercise of CAG power in relation to the account of union is derived from this. Discuss whether implement could amount to overstepping its CAG own jurisdiction. And here if you have prepared this question, you will cover CAG in a holistic manner. And here they have asked the comptroller has a key, very vital role to play. So if you have prepared this question, you can easily answer these questions. And again, the CAG report is tabled in Parliament, which is reviewed by Public Accounts Committee. And these questions on the Public Accounts Committee. The next question in Estimates Committee, how the committee system is helpful in the parliamentary work. So these kind of questions are generally asked from the very standard topics which are under these big topics which we need to understand. What are the Finance Commission, how it is constituted, what are the different terms of reference for the Finance Commission, about the Attorney General, what is its role, how it is a legal advisor to the government, and it works as a lawyer for the government of India, what are its various responsibilities, functions, which we need to understand. Then the last topic under the polity is statutory regulator and various quasi judicial body. So see this question: just what is quasi judicial body? The simple question, like you don't have to do anything. If you have prepared this topic, just one page on this topic, you are good enough. Then question on National Commission of Women, National Commission of Scheduled Caste, various National Commission, Human Rights Commission. So you in this lectures I have tried to give you a feeling of what are the syllabus of the general studies paper 2, what are the previous year questions. You don't need to understand the full things. It is about to get a vibe of the previous year questions. In the next lecture I will cover the strategy, what are the books to follow, what are the different sources you need to follow. And then from the third lecture I will start from the topic of preamble and then move toward fundamental rights, directive principle of state policy, and slowly cover each and every topic under the syllabus using previous year questions, and using also covering the current affairs one by one. Okay, for the rest time. Okay, thank you, bye.